So I get it. It's late January. It's cold. You're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, when's this going to break? If you're here in the Midwest with me, I'm in Kansas City, in case you didn't know it. That's where I'm based out of now, doing a morning show. You're like, geez, this week it reached -2. So I just had to write something on football on the website, and I want to share it with you. Pete Mundo, Heartland College Sports Weekly, part of heartlandcollegesports.com. I put together the most anticipated matchup and game for each Big 12 football team in 2019. And I know you're thinking, oh, Pete, it's 8 months away, man. Take it easy. I don't care. I got a Big 12 football addiction. What do you want me to tell you? I like the basketball. I'm not as into it as our guy Matthew Postins. I mean, he is the Big 12 basketball savant. He is just killing it on our website with the Big 12 hoops. But I'll say this. I like it. Cam Brock, who's going to be ramping up the baseball stuff, he's good on that front. I am just addicted to the football side of it. I cannot help myself. All right? I can't. I cannot do it. So let's talk about this stuff here. And let's talk about the biggest game in the conference for each of these teams heading into 2019. And this might change by the time we get to August, but as of right now, here's how I see it. Baylor Bears, biggest game on the schedule, is going to be September 28th against Iowa State. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First off, Baylor's non-conference looks like it did for most of the Art Briles tenure. Stephen F. Austin, UTSA, and Rice. They should be 3-0. But if Baylor wants to put itself into the top half, if not top half, top tier discussion in the Big 12 Conference, we're going to find out in late September against Iowa State, another team trying to put itself into the top tier of the Big 12 Conference, which one of these teams is more likely to do it. It's going to be a very telling game pretty early in the season for both Baylor and Iowa State. But for Baylor, that's their biggest game of the year. Can they make that leap from middle of the pack to, at least top half? For Iowa State, it's a different game. September 14th against the Hawkeyes. I get it. It's a non-conference game, but Iowa State has yet to beat Iowa under Matt Campbell. They haven't won the game since 2014. They've won it once in the past 6 years. If Matt Campbell is truly going to take this thing to the top and start competing for Big 12 championships, and I mean, I love what Matt Campbell has done. Don't get me wrong. But, just emotionally, you want to start beating your rival, right? I mean, before you become the best or one of the best teams in your conference, you want to be the best team in your own state. And Iowa is such a stale program. I'm sorry. It's stale. It's Iowa State's time. It's Matt Campbell's time. It's Brock Purdy's time. It's the Cyclones' time, baby. Win this game. Get this win. Last year was weird because the opener was canceled. They kind of used that Iowa game as a chance to, work out the kinks. It's not ideal. But now it's like, get the win, baby. Get it done. Kansas, August 31st against Indiana State. Why is that the most important game? Well, because it's their first game. Sorry. Les Miles, I don't know what the hell you're going to do. I have no idea. But if you want to get things off on the right foot, beat Indiana State at home. One win, one game, go on, build off it, move on, and that's kind of it for now. For Kansas State, I'm going to say October 5th against Baylor. Now, it might not seem all that meaningful at first glance, but it is the Big 12 home opener for new head coach Chris Klieman. He's going to be in the shadows of Bill Snyder for at least this year. He could be in the shadows of Bill Snyder for a couple of years, I mean, who the heck knows? It kind of depends how it plays out. If he can get the home crowd on his side, pick up a Big 12 win early, get the monkey off his back, he's got a tough 2-game stretch before that on the road against Mississippi State and Oklahoma State, he'll be in good shape. No one's expecting Big 12 titles right now from Chris Klieman. The last couple of recruiting classes were junk for Bill Snyder, even by Bill Snyder standards. Guys have fled and left the program left and right. I don't want to say it's a full rebuild, but he's not walking into a very healthy program. All right, so if you can get a win against Baylor early October, you'll get a little space from the fan base, which you should anyway, but you know how fans are. I mean, fans are fans, right? Oklahoma, October 12th against Texas. Might seem obvious, but OU looking for revenge. This game next year is likely going to decide which one of these two teams is the front runner at this point to win the Big 12. And you look at OU's schedule up to that point, it's pretty soft. You have the Fighting Dana Holgersons in week 1, the Houston Cougars. You got South Dakota, UCLA, Texas Tech, and KU. OU should be 5-0. We'll find out what OU is. Are they a national title contender again or not in this Texas game? So that's why it might seem obvious, but there's many reasons for why I picked that game for the Longhorns as their most important game in the Big 12, and that's what we're going through here. The most important game as of right now, I know it's late January, most intriguing game in the Big 12 in 2019 for each team. For Oklahoma State, September 28th against Kansas State. Now, my thinking goes as follows. Oklahoma State plays Oregon State, Tulsa, McNeese State. Then they open up Big 12 play at Texas. Should be 3-0 before the Texas game. And while they beat Texas last year, let's be honest, UT's probably going to be a heavy favorite in this game at home. If Oklahoma State wants to have a bounce-back season, which let's remember, this Oklahoma State program won 10 games each of the past 3 years before this last season in 2018. I don't know if Mike Gundy has the team to get back to that 10-win level, but he doesn't want to have 2 straight mediocre years in a row, right? You don't want to suddenly go to being a middle-of-the-pack team in the Big 12. From competing for Big 12 titles to regressing. Mike Gundy doesn't want that, and the game against Kansas State in late September should, you got to win the game, especially after their disastrous performance against K-State in Manhattan last season. For TCU, October 5th at Iowa State. Gary Patterson, similar position to Mike Gundy, trying to bounce back from a mediocre season. If you want to get back to that upper echelon in the Big 12, which looks like it's now going to be OU Texas like it was a decade ago. But if you want to get to that level, this game is in Ames, final game before the bye week for Gary Patterson. It will let us know if TCU is going to be a contender in the back half of the season or not. Texas, September 7th against LSU. How do you not use this game? I get it's a non-conference, but massive ramifications for Texas. If this is the year Texas thinks it should get over the hump and not just win the Big 12, but reach a college football playoff, beating LSU is huge for the resume. It gives them a little bit of wiggle room to drop a game in the regular season at some point and still make the playoff. If they lose this game, Texas basically has to run the table, no doubt about it, to reach the playoff at least, not win the Big 12, of course. Texas Tech, September 28th at Oklahoma. Matt Wells, welcome to the Big 12, baby. To start your career, you get to play OU in Norman. Hey, don't forget, Cliff Kingsbury almost knocked off the Sooners at home last year. Now, if Matt Wells does that on the road in September, people are going to be saying, Cliff who? But if it gets blown out while Cliff Kingsbury's coaching on Sundays, you might get some grumbling, all right? I'm just putting it out there. West Virginia, September 7th against Missouri. New head coach, new quarterback. What's he got? Early season SEC matchup on the road. I want to see what this team can do. Missouri's also losing Drew Lock, so there's a lot of turnover there, but it's going to be a very intriguing game for many reasons. It's going to be telling for what next year is going to be for Neil Brown. Pete Mundo, Heartland College Sports Weekly, part of heartlandcollegesports.com. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us, being a part of the show. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Same time, same place here on Heartland College Sports Weekly.